Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm here with Cam, and we're going to talk about fantastic beats, and where to drop them.
where to drop them, return them to Redbox.
Yeah, there's no way I'm the first person to make that joke. Let's talk about these movies. I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I told you that. I don't really care about Harry Potter.
You like the movies. You're just not like a diehard fan.
The movies are well-made movies for the fans of that stuff. But I didn't grow up with Harry Potter at all. I couldn't really care less about it. Yeah, and that's cool. I remember. I think the first one I saw was like Half-Blood Prince.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what was happening. I saw it for like a friend's birthday party. You know.
Right. I'm guessing you were pretty lost because that's the 6th installment.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just pulling up notes here.
Sure.
Yeah. So, sorry. What were you gonna say?
I was going to say, unlike you, I did grow up a Harry Potter fan. I watched, all the movies, and starting with, like, before Goblet of Fire, that's when I read the books before I saw the movies. Mm-hmm. And, I got really engrossed in the characters and the story, and I liked how, just like the stakes grew. It's true with the movies and the books, like the stakes keep growing and growing. It kind of like the story grows up with the audience in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And a fun detail is my grandmother, my paternal grandmother was a librarian. She hated Harry Potter. Like, she could not stand it.
Why?
She thought the books were way too long and scary, like way too many characters. She hated that shit. So she'd probably be happy that J.K. Rowling's in the doghouse now.
Yeah, exactly. No one likes her anymore. We could talk about the Fantastic Beasts movies, though. People like Harry Potter, but these movies, they made like a spin-off called The Wizarding World, which is Warner Brothers' attempt to make like the MCU out of Harry Potter.
To a degree, yeah.
Yeah, like make it's the Wizarding World. That's what they call it. And like the titles get like so silly, like with the subtitles. So it's like The Wizarding World, Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald. It's like 3 titles. It's like, Jesus Christ. Like,
I don't even know if like The Wizarding World is like even a title. It's just like a
You could say it is. You could technically count it as like that. You could, like how you say like MCU's Ant-Man,
Marvel's The Avengers,
The Wizarding World's Fantastic Beasts, The Crime of Grindelwald. It's so long-winded.
It's a mouthful.
It just sounds like a product,
Yeah, I agree. That's how I felt about. I never even saw those movies, but Percy Jackson, The Olympians, The Lightning Thief. It's just like blah. It's like word salad.
The first film of Fantastic Beasts was fine. I don't hate the movie. I actually liked it, and this is the second time I watched it. I rewatched it for this discussion with you, and I thought it was a fine movie. It's competent. It's directed by David Yates, who did all of the other ones. He did not all the other. He did like
the second half.
So he did like 4 to the last one. Yeah.
He did 5, 6, 7, 8. So he did Order of the Phoenix, Half-Blood Prince, and
5.
both parts of Deathly Hallows. So 4 of the 8 Harry Potter movies he directed.
You're the Harry Potter guy. Yeah. But he did these as well. And this first one at least is competent. I thought it looked good. Good effects, the characters are endearing enough. I really like the Dan Fogler character. I think they knew that was the best character as well. They give him like the best stuff in the movie. The movie ends on him, like his moment, which I actually really liked. I liked the ending of the film.
I did too. It's one of the more memorable moments. Yeah.
That was actually well written, and it's like memorable. Like from seeing it many years ago, there were these scenes. I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. I remember the Dan Fogler character mostly, but even like little set pieces, like when they go to the zoo there and capture the beasts.
Or the scene where him and the Eddie Redmayne character Newt meet at the bank. And I like too. It's a change of scenery. At least like the first one, it doesn't feel like it's riding too hard on callbacks to Harry Potter. It feels like enough of its own thing.
Mm-hmm. It stays true to the title at least as well, which is not something the next 2 do.
No, not very well, at least.
Yeah, there are plenty of Fantastic Beasts, and that's what it's about. The story basically follows Newt Scamander, who played Batty Redmayne, and he's like this magic zoologist.
Yeah, basically
Captures magical creatures and documents them, and it's based on a book that J.K. Rowling wrote, which isn't really like a novel so much as it is an encyclopedia of like fictional.
Yeah, sort of. I'd flip through it a little bit when I was a kid. It's not like a one-to-one adaptation. It's more it has more of a story to it.
I assume that book is written by like in the universe. It's written by Newt. They mentioned
basically.
Movie. Yeah, so it's like okay, at least you have some like groundwork here, I guess. And yeah, they definitely stretch it too thin, but for this film it worked fine. They had enough material. And it's really driven forward by like those characters, and I'm like, oh, I really like the Catherine Waterston character, and I really like Colin Farrell.
Farrell, yeah.
I thought he was really good.
Yeah, I mean he's a good actor. So that helps.
And I don't know why they had to do the whole thing of like they reveal it's Johnny Depp, and then
it's like Scooby-Doo. Other people pointed that out too, but it definitely really is.
To be fair, it's been done in Harry Potter before, the whole like reveal. And then like
Goblet of Fire. Yeah,
it's been done. But that being said, like in this one, it was so unnecessary because I actually liked Colin Farrell like more than actually when he transforms into Grindelwald.
Yeah,
but I guess
because he looks ridiculous, Johnny Depp.
Yeah, he does. You sent me. What was that clip?
You could show it when you upload. In Wayne's World 2, Kevin Pollak plays his character. Like I guess like. His pupil has no color. It just looks. That's what it reminds me of. Like, he looks ridiculous, Grindelwald.
And then Ezra Miller.
Yeah. Hopefully they didn't hurt anybody during the making of these movies.
They're the villain of this film. They're what is it called? An obscurus lupa. Obscura.
Yeah, basically
it's obscura. Yeah,
it kind of reminded me a little bit of when like Phantom Menace, like Anakin has the midichlorians. It's not something that's addressed in the Harry Potter, like the main movies, but basically the Ezra Miller character Credence, like Credence Clearwater Revival.
What I was thinking Credence Clearwater.
It's kind of a dumb name, the character.
The names
Credence,
are kind of dumb.
He has like magical powers, but they're repressed. And also, I'd like to point out the irony. Obviously, as many people know, J.K. Rowling has gotten a lot of flack for hurtful comments about trans people, and deservedly so. I agree with the
she's stupid.
Exactly. And but the fact that she wrote the screenplay for this movie, it wasn't just like an adaptation, and it's about how wizards are being persecuted for who they really are. They can't really embrace their true identities. Yeah.
Right.
Kind of dumb.
Yeah, exactly. She misses the point. But yeah, Ezra Miller is an obscure.
Oh yeah, sorry, I got a point, but exactly. Like the Credence character, like he's a wizard. Yeah. He has magical powers, basically, but it's kind of like all. He's
an obscurus lupa. He's a creature that's like part of the plot. There are these creatures called obscuras or whatever, and they live like 10 years or whatever, but they're like super evil, dark, like forces of power or whatever. So they think it's this little girl, but it turns out it's Ezra Miller. And in one line of dialogue, they explain like, "Oh, it's so powerful. It lived even longer than 10 years or whatever. It lived longer than the average obscura." And it's like this whole, like it got kind of convoluted there, but I guess they needed to do some kind of like dramatic thing to happen in the film. And just like, I guess my point with all this like character stuff is like, this all could have gone somewhere interesting. And like at the end of the film, I'm like, you could make more films with these characters and expand on them. And I was left like with the first film with the impression of like, yeah, that was a fun movie with good characters. We'll see where they take it, and they don't do shit with it, but there's at least like some hope there, and it's enough to make it a good movie.
An okay movie. I agree with you that like the main like quartet of characters, like the leads, like are like entertaining enough. I think the stuff with Credence is less compelling, especially since the character's in all three movies, and he never really becomes that interesting.
Yeah, that doesn't really go anywhere. That was pretty lame. yeah, there's just like a bunch of like the music was fine, the effects were fine.
Yeah, I'm not positive. Obviously it's, David Yates directing, who also did the Harry Potter movies, and like, yeah, it definitely like kind of like fits in. And I like the fact, even though I don't care for the other two Fantastic Beasts movies, it's like a brand extension, but it kind of just stands on its own. It's not like it's just like dragging down, the Harry Potter batting average, because like those movies are pretty uniform in quality for the most part. Like, I know, like, you were just watching them again recently. Like, some are better than others, but yeah, like there aren't too many like outright duds of that, those 8 movies.
Yeah, of the Harry Potter movies, I basically enjoyed all of them. I haven't rewatched all of them yet. I'm up to like Order of the Phoenix, I think. Or yeah, I think they're fine. Good. I think they're good movies. Some of them are really good. The Alfonso Cuarón one is really good.
Yeah, Prison of Azkaban. Yeah, we agree. That's the best of any of these movies. Yeah.
The first two were.
I think the first two are very slavish adaptations of the first 2 books.
And they're acting in the beginning when they're like little kids, like they're really bad, like because they're
but they
definitely get better as it goes
even
along.
between like movies 1 and 2, I think that there's definitely a step up. Yeah, they became great in those roles.
Especially Emma Watson at the beginning, she was terrible.
And she ended up having a lot of fun with the character. Like she made Hermione her own.
By the third film, they were pretty good. And they got better.
Agree.
Yeah. But yeah, there were little kids. It was terrible acting.
Yeah. I mean, the kid, they're likable enough. It's not like, oh, I fucking hate these kids.
Yeah, they were just some line deliveries.
I know right now we're just talking about the first movie. I think like a weakness of these, like the Fantastic Beasts franchise, is that it's not very appealing to like kids, really. I mean, like, or even like families. It's just a bunch of like wizardry shit, like Ministry of Magic, which obviously factors into Harry Potter, but it was never the highlight of those movies. Part of the fun, it was just kind of like how Harry Potter is, like, it could be like a kid just like me. He's an ordinary kid. He's he's stuck with his cruel aunt and uncle and cousin, and then he's just whisked away to this magical school, and he gets to play Quidditch. And like a lot of like the most memorable moments from the books and the movies weren't necessarily just like magical humdrum stuff. It was Hermione punching Malfoy, or them going to the Yule Ball. There's really none of that in these movies. They're not nearly as fun to watch or revisit.
Yeah For the Fantastic Beasts movies, no, they're not.
No.
And the viewpoint characters are kids, which helps kids relate to the characters. And like you said, the movies mature with the characters. They get more mature as they get older. And like here, they're all adults, which that could work fine. But you don't.
I mean, obviously, like Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
it's just like they were good characters. I felt, but obviously, a kid isn't gonna put themselves on to them as much as Harry Potter and those characters.
Yeah, and obviously these movies have their own faults to varying degrees, but like Hunger Games and Twilight, I think like those have like such a big draw with like teenagers and like young adults, just because a lot of like young characters, like that they're easy to like identify with for some people.
Yeah, the fan service wasn't too obnoxious in this film either. I did kind of like it stood on its own in a lot of ways. Hogwarts is just like a reference in it. Like they say, like, oh, Hogwarts is a better school.
Yeah. It's more subtle than what follows.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Also, it's set. The Harry Potter, like the story of Harry Potter, most of it's set in the 90s. Even though like the books and the movies were like slightly late. I think the first book was like 97, but it's like set a few years before that. And this is set in the 20s. And side note. A great movie that's set in New York in the 1920s and other decades. Once Upon a Time in America. You should check that out. It's free on YouTube, and it's really long, but it's much more entertaining.
Oh, it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I just want to throw that in there. I'm like, it's 1920s New York. Where's De Niro?
Yeah, that too. Why would they? It's just like it's definitely a risk to make the movie like a period setting movie for children, but. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have much to say about the fucking movie.
Yeah, we can move on to the next one if you. What would you rate the first one?
Give it a 6 out of 10. Or
I think that's fair.
Star.
Nothing too dire, but not like amazing either.
It's a perfectly adequate film.
Yeah, you don't feel like you're wasting your time watching it or anything.
No, it's not offensively stupid like the next one is.
Yeah.
We get to Crimes at Grindelwald, which is like one of the worst movies ever.
Definitely like one of the worst like blockbusters I've seen.
Of recent memory, one of the worst blockbusters I can think of.
On Letterboxd, I follow Lee Unkrich. For those who don't know, he worked for Pixar for many years.
Yeah.
He directed Toy Story 3 and Coco. And on Letterboxd, he rated the second Fantastic Beasts a 0.5 star, which is pretty funny. And it's also worth noting, he's made great movies himself, so I trust his opinion. He's earned the right to shit on other movies.
It's really low.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's worthy of that. Yeah. It's a piece of shit. It's a total piece of shit.
Yeah, and what's funny, it was 2018. It wasn't even the worst movie that year because it was also like gaudy and some, but it's still pretty.
Yeah, it kind of went under the radar. Like I didn't even see it. It was one of those
because I hadn't
like,
seen the first one at that point.
Yeah, I saw the first one when it came out, but I just skipped the second one. I'm like, I have no interest in that. That looks really stupid. This movie, it starts with Johnny Depp escaping, in an exciting scene in the rain, in the dark. You can't see shit.
It's a chariot in the sky. Well, for one thing, they can teleport very easily, but they do this like elaborate, prison exchange program. But it's not even, so it's like you see Johnny Depp, but it's not even like Grindelwald, like that's been captured, like that's like being, that's still imprisoned. It's his like henchman. It's so bizarre and
or did he like switch places with him?
Yeah, it's really dumb.
Yeah, it is really dumb.
Grindelwald's in the title. He he's pretty marginal in Harry Potter himself. He's mentioned like a handful of times. Because Harry and Hermione, they like revisit Dumbledore's past, and it's implied that they were like, lovers, or Dumbledore had a crush on him. But yeah, like they make such a big deal of Grindelwald in this movie right off the bat. We still like barely know him because it was, again, like you said, it was like Colin Farrell playing the part. It was like a disguise, but
yeah, and Colin Farrell is much better. Johnny Depp's terrible in this.
Yeah, it's one of his weakest roles, especially since, like, he doesn't usually play villains. Like, he can play like eccentric characters, but he just looks really, ridiculous with his, kooky hair.
Yeah. And the movie looks terrible too. It looks washed out and dark.
Yeah, it looks gray. Mm-hmm. And there were weird close-ups too. It kind of reminded me like Silence of the Lambs, but like in a bad way.
There were like these weird center frame close-ups. Zoe Kravitz, they introduced her in the first one, but only through like a photograph. Like you barely see her. And in this one, she's actually like in it a lot. And they introduced Newt's brother, right?
Yeah, the guy, he was in a green room. I remember him from that.
Yeah. And there's this whole fucking thing where they're supposed to get married, Zoe Kravitz and Newt's brother, but the newspaper messed it up. So they think Newt's marrying Zoe Kravitz, and
Captain Waterston's
she
character
finds out, and it's like this whole thing where she thinks Newt's with her, so she goes with someone else, and
it's very sitcom-y.
Yeah, it's like another, it's just padding, really.
Yeah, exactly. And there's already so much else going on. It reminded me of like, in Bad Boys, like the Téa Leoni character. She thinks like they switch identities. It's like so contrived. Like, why is this even in the movie? You can just like cut this. It's total filler.
Yeah. When I realized that was the whole movie, I was like shocked. Like, oh, this whole point of Bad Boys is like this body switching plot or whatever.
It's like, not even like body switching. They just pretend.
They pretend to be each other.
Yeah, for no particular reason.
Yeah, it's like, why do you have pictures of like your friend in your house? That was actually kind of funny, that part. But it's just like, this movie sucks. You want to talk about other movies?
Right? Yeah, it's just a big mess, and like really bad exposition, because there's this early scene like after that opening. Newt's summoned to the Ministry of Magic. That's where he sees his brother because he works there. And then, Newt, you have a travel ban, and Grindelwald, blah blah blah.
Sorry,
and
it's like another cliche scene you see in like so many sequels. Like in the first movie, you did this amount of damage, and you did blah blah blah. I just feel like I've seen that scene so many times, and like
like Die Hard too. Like you're the guy at Nakatomi. Yeah, I know the story.
Yeah, but they're like reprimanding him. Yeah, it's like so cliche. And yes, you continue.
When he's in the Ministry of Magic, there's this like the committee. It's a very dry scene, but they show like Grindelwald and Credence in like the little fountain. Like, is that for the audience? Like, why? Well, they're not even looking at it. It's not like they got like like a projector going or something.
Yeah, that was really silly. There's just so much to like talk about that's to like dissect here. I'm struggling to.
Well, I was trying to think, and another a better example of that is aliens. Ripley. They find Ripley, and obviously she's explaining what happened, how an alien came on the ship, and like that. Yeah, that's a great scene. It gets things started off. She's already like pissed off, but then they want her to go to the planet. But yeah, like that's done like much more effectively when she's screaming at the committee there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Aliens, a 5-star movie, right?
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Absolutely.
Okay.
This is not.
So I guess we could go back to like the Catherine Waterston Newt thing. It leads to this thing where he professes his love for her in like a really corny scene, and then he says like, "Your eyes look like salamanders." They both
salamanders. Yeah.
That was really corny.
It was super corny. Yeah, they brought that up. They mentioned that a few times.
Well, that was supposed to be a payoff to a scene earlier where he said, like, her eyes are like salamanders. And then Dan Fogg was like, don't say they're like salamanders. Don't say that. Whatever you do, don't say that.
Yeah.
It's fucking corny. They flash back to them at Hogwarts at one point.
It's a really long flashback.
Yeah, and it's the worst transition like I've ever seen to a flashback. It literally just cuts. And you're in like the flashback. There's no like creative transition or like any kind of like it just cuts and you're in Hogwarts like 20 years ago and you're like, oh.
I get 20 years, so like it's whatever the aughts or like 19 teens because it's already set in like 1927.
Yeah, it's like even further back now, and you see Jude Law as Dumbledore, and it's just like it's such shit. Like they do the whole ridiculous thing, which is in the Harry Potter movies. Like they just redo that thing, except here the thing he was making ridiculous. It became like a scary like monster.
Yeah,
it became like a scary like book monster, whatever the fuck it was, or like a whatever he. So I'm like, that's pretty terrifying. Like in the other movie, it made sense. Like Snape came out of the thing, he did ridiculous, and Snape was wearing like a dress. It's like, oh, it's silly,
right. It's just it's fan service.
They want to make fucking money off the fans of this shit because they're so bored, and it's like an hour into the film too. It just feels like so random when they decide to go to Hogwarts. It's just so random,
right? Especially because like the Zoe Kravitz character like hasn't gotten that much focus up until that point, and also too because it's I know like Harry Potter, but she plays. She's like an ancestor or relative to like the Helena Bonham Carter character because her name's Lestrange. And but it feels a bit tenuous and and also too I don't want to keep comparing it to other movies, but like you said, it's just like kind of like just like a heap of scenes stitching. It reminds me like Batman v Superman. There's no cohesion.
Yeah, there's no progression. It just kind of
putters along.
Yeah, that's why when they go to Hogwarts, it's just like another scene plopped in there. I felt like they kept like introducing stuff like for the first hour. It was just all set up, and it either went nowhere or it was just like stupid where it went. It was just like incredibly stupid and just like the just like the cinematography and like the shots are bad and it's like. Toward the end of the film, I noticed there was like this really bad stock sound effect, like a screaming sound effect that you'd hear on freestocksounds.com. I've heard like 1,000 times in movies. They didn't give a fuck. That's how it feels. It feels like a movie they didn't care at all making this movie. Everything about it was bad.
There aren't too many redemptive qualities. I mean, like Jude Law makes sense as like a young Dumbledore, but it's just again, there's just so much going on, and the backpedal a little bit. Like a lot of the setup is Dumbledore tells Newt you got to like go after Grindelwald, like just because like he's a bad dude. You got to fuck him up, and also too like the Dan Fogler character Kowalski and the girlfriend Queenie, like they're definitely back. And she has them under a spell.
That was like really confusing how all that was set up.
Right, because he already likes her. Why would she need to put him under a spell? I guess because she wants to get married and he doesn't.
At first, I thought she put a spell on him to make him remember her, or either that, or then I thought it's a love spell because he doesn't remember who she is, which would make sense. But he does remember who she is. Yeah,
because at the end of the first one they wipe his memory, but I guess it just didn't work. They didn't. But the explanation was really dumb.
Yeah, that's why I was confused by it.
Right, they could have come up with a better way.
Yeah, so they she put the love potion on him for no reason, or the love spell on him for no reason, because he loves her anyway, and he remembers her. So
right,
it was just another confusing part of the film. Yeah, I hated that part.
That is shoehorned back. Obviously that happens sometimes with sequels. If there's a popular character, you try to find a way to finagle them back in. But that was very, clumsy.
Yeah, that was super clumsy. Still probably one of the best parts of the movie.
Sure, I don't mind that they're back. Even it's just like how it was handled. It was very dumb.
Well, the scene at the end when she betrays the good characters and becomes a bad guy. She works for Grindelwald at the end. That was very corny. That reveal. She walks through the fire there and she's like screaming, and Dan Fogler's like.
Alison Sudol plays Queenie. Yeah, it's so out of nowhere. She just like, and in the third one too, she keeps like flip flopping, like switching allegiances. Like it's like you're hanging out with the fucking Manson family, then you just like want to like come back to normal society all of a sudden.
Terrible.
It's bad to start off with. It gets really off the rails because, basically, Grindelwald, he hates humans and he, like muggles. He hates magical people. He's like, they're going to start World War II. It's like, what the fuck? Like, why are you bringing in World War II? It's a made up story.
It's a stupid movie about witches.
Yeah, right. And plus there's like other stuff. There are. You mentioned the Hogwarts one. There are other flashbacks too, because this other guy. There's so many fucking characters. Yeah. There's this other guy. He wants to kill Credence because Credence. I forget like something. He thinks they're related, but they're not. And then
that fucking confused the shit out of me too. I had no idea what was going on there. No fucking idea. There's like that whole scene in the graveyard there where they're trying to explain.
He like spacing out after. And then like Zoe Kravitz's because like I guess Zoe Kravitz's mother was like a sex slave or something. It's like, what is this, barbarian? Like it's so bizarre. Like there's so much like gruesome shit that happens. Like like Grindelwald murders a family. Like it's not the fucking Terminator. Like why does it have to be so violent? And we mentioned Prisoner of Azkaban before. Like that's actually a really great moment. Later. I mean it's expository, but it's important because Harry he realizes Sirius is not the guy who betrayed his parents. It was fucking Ron's rat. But again, it's it's information that's integral to, for the protagonist to learn, and we as an audience are interested too because it's not something we necessarily expected, as opposed to just like this like remote revelations that like have nothing to do with Newt, who it was like the ostensible lead. It's just like what the fuck? It's just a bunch of blah blah blah, like, jibber jabber.
It's total shit.
Yeah, crapola.
Wow, incredible. Just like, Like the scene with the fucking giant monster thing, and Newt has the pinwheel, and he's like,
Yeah. Yeah, he has these like different, it's in all three movies. He has different methods of, like subduing these beasts. But it kind of happens like so infrequently. Like you forget, like, all right, like not so much the first one, but the other two. Like, all right, this is Fantastic Beasts. Instead, we're hearing about the impending war.
Yeah. Visually, the movie was just so boring. They went to that circus there that's hidden in the statue. Or it's like some kind of fair, some like wizard fair. There's people floating in bubbles or whatever. That scene was just like a bunch of CG. It's just like my eyes were glazing over. It's just like a bunch of CGI, and I was noticing like they probably like there's like a conversation between like two of the characters, and there's like this goblin like walking around in the background. I'm like, yeah, they just like added that in the background because like to make the scene more interesting, because it's just like nothing visually going on here. It's just like two characters talking.
It's just a lot of blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's really boring, and it's just fucking like terrible.
The movie is a crime.
A crime against humanity, yeah.
Or at least against cinema.
Oh, yeah. I remember there was this shot of, like, Grindelwald, Johnny Depp looking up at, like, I guess a projection of Ezra Miller. And Ezra Miller's face is, like transparent, like, overlapped on top of, like, the frame. It looks so fucking bad.
Yeah.
And he's just, like, looking up at it. It's just, like, so corny looking.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's revealed at the end that Credence is a Dumbledore, and in the third one they specify that he's Albus Dumbledore's nephew. It's like, okay, it feels like very Star Wars-esque. Like,
that means nothing to me. That means absolutely
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, you just watched the. I saw the. Today's Sunday. I watched the movie on Tuesday. It's already like fading. I remembered certain things. Yeah, like all the expositional stuff. But yeah, it's so dull, and like I don't know why someone would enjoy this.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Especially
it's
kids or like or like at least like younger. Yeah, it is. I think it is the worst of the franchise. Specifically these three.
Yeah.
What would you rate it?
Fucking 1 star.
I think I give it like a 3 out of 10 just because it has like some like production. Yeah, again, like production value, I guess. But like, yeah, there's not much to recommend.
I'll give it a 1 star.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's so bad. Like, I guess it was supposed to be the dark middle chapter, like the Empire Strikes Back of this trilogy, if that's what they were trying to do.
Well, they fucked up.
The dramatic scene at the end when like Grindelwald has all the posse together and and they're all like in this giant circle.
Or like, Queenie, leaves, to join Grindelwald. Like it's meant to be like Han Solo getting separated from the group.
Yeah. Great writing, J.K. Rowling. Great job.
Right,
You're doing awesome.
Screenplays are not your strong suit, I guess.
The third one, The Secrets of Dumbledore.
Oh, boy.
It's some shit about there's a beast that is like this pure good thing, and Newt wants to protect it, but Grindelwald wants it because the creature will like pick him to be the ruler of the wizard world, right?
That's pretty accurate. I know, like, for people who haven't seen the movie, it might sound like Ralph made that up, but that's what happens.
But like what Grindelwald does is he kills. So the opening of the movie, Eddie Redmayne is like with the giant good creature, and it gives birth to 2 twins. Grindelwald takes one of them, and Newt takes one of them.
Right, it's Credence on behalf of Grindelwald.
Yeah, sure. And they
creature,
kill. Yeah, Grindelwald kills the thing, the good creature, and possesses it to make it pick him as the ruler. So there's clearly like some kind of political like underlying subtext here going on with like them, like everyone wanting like this
validation
guy, yeah, to like, I don't know, take over. It's like this
win
kind
an
of
election.
Yeah, win an election, right? It's just like this whole thing. And
wow,
like,
exciting shit.
Yeah,
the
like Wizarding
world.
Yeah, right. But it's about like horde mentality or whatever. It's like such bullshit. Yeah, it's like
it's
fucking
so
thrown in there.
Ham-fisted. And
yeah, it's total bullshit. All that.
Yeah, like why would kids be interested in a fucking election?
Yeah, and it's so silly, like this whole story. I mean, at least they tied beasts into the storyline somehow, so that was good.
Yeah,
and at least
it's still pretty lame.
Yeah, it was incredibly lame. Don't get me wrong, but at least it was like building to something. At least the last one, I have no idea what even was like going on. I don't think anything was going on. Yeah,
and we can also note that in between the second and the third movies, obviously like COVID happened, and also Johnny Depp lost a libel case. So Warner Brothers fired him, and now it's Mad Mikkelsen. A libel case regarding
Amber Heard.
Tumultuous breakup with Amber Heard, and so Mads Mikkelsen replaced him in the spot. He definitely looks better. He doesn't look like quite as silly, at least.
They didn't overdo it with the makeup, and the performance is better. It's much better. It doesn't save the movie. The movie's still bad, but that I did note. I'm like, Grindelwald's better in this one. And
he's still got the weird eye, but it's not as like obvious.
Yeah, and I think a problem I have with all three of them is like they don't really go anywhere. Like especially this movie. Like this could have been a finale or some kind of like epic conclusion, but it really isn't. It just feels like another chapter, and they're gonna make like 10 more of them.
I think. Well. This one, I think, underperformed. I don't know if it bombed, but I think it underperformed.
I don't think they're going to do any more because it underperformed. But if they do, like the movie ends with like Grindelwald gets away. He like escapes. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, you got me again, Gadget. like he'll just come back in the next one. He'll keep coming back as long as they make money.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, there's not much momentum. I think that was, one of the strengths of what got a lot of people engrossed in Harry Potter is, it's you're following Harry through all of his years at Hogwarts, and how like the story keeps building, like Voldemort, like he's been away, and now in the fourth one he's finally back. At least like the even not to say like those movies and books are bulletproof, but like that's like a strength. Like the narrative like keeps building upon itself. But this one it's like the same villains in every movie. It gets pretty repetitive.
Feels very stretched out.
Yeah, thin, and also like there are new characters introduced, but they don't make much of a impression. Catherine Waterston is barely in this. I don't know if it was scheduling conflicts, and it's interesting to note like that she's been very vocal about lambasting J.K. Rowling for her views. I don't know if that's the reason why she gets short shrift in this, but like she's kind of like it's like Jar Jar in like Revenge of the Sith. Like she's like barely in this.
Yeah, I feel like it was something to do with that. Like
it might be part of it.
She either didn't want to do it or they didn't want her back, but she's barely in the film, which is crazy. Yeah. She's like Newt's love interest, and then
she's so marginal.
Yeah, going back to Star Wars, it would be like if Leia wasn't in the third film, like it wasn't in Episode 6,
Right?
Is she in it at all? Like the first like hour and a half?
They show her in a picture, but no, she doesn't even like appear to like the 2-hour mark.
Yeah, like the very end of the movie.
This movie's so long. Oh my god, I kept wanting it to end. I think it's the longest of the three.
Yeah.
It's 2 hours and 22 minutes, way too fucking long. I was like really itching to like Harry, it's almost there. Yeah, because again, it's kind of like same problems with like Crimes of Grindelwald. It's just a bunch of scenes. It like it's not like clear when you're approaching, or at least like in the middle of it. Because at a certain point, Newt's brother gets captured and then in prison, and then there's this long sequence where Newt, goes in and, breaks him out. It's just filler. Like, you can just excise it from the movie entirely.
Is that when they crab walk or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah. It goes on for so fucking long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Dan Fogler thing with, Queenie, their relationship in this film, that was like, that was like forgotten about, like in the climax.
Yeah.
Like
she's good again.
Yeah,
She's,
and
she
then they get married.
Guy.
At the very end of the movie, they get married. Yeah. But
right, even though she's hanging out with the bad boys.
Yeah, even though she was a bad guy. Yeah.
All's forgiven.
Jessica Williams, she's one of the new characters. Yeah. As Lolly. I don't know what she was doing in this. That accent she was doing. I don't know.
Yeah, because she's not. What's interesting too, like the Harry Potter movies. I think like
was that supposed to be British?
I couldn't tell.
I don't know
what she's American.
Yeah, I don't know what that was supposed to be. That was bizarre. It kind of felt like an old like New Yorker accent, maybe. That was really weird what she was doing.
In fact, you were willing to put yourself in danger to save a perfect stranger. Seems to me you're just the kind of average Joe the world needs right now. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah, I couldn't tell because, they established, like, unlike Harry Potter, like, this has American characters. Obviously, like, Kowalski's American. So I wasn't sure if she was just, like, another American witch, like, Tina, like Catherine Waterston. But then, like, Dumbledore's like, oh, you teach at Hogwarts. I'm like, oh, I guess she's British.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, she was British.
Yeah, there's a lot of character, and then there's also, I can't remember her name, but like Newt has an assistant. I kept forgetting she was in the movie.
Oh yeah, Bunty,
yeah.
Yeah, she's like a total waste of a character. It's like they could have done something there. She's like barely part of them, yeah. Because
Dumbledore basically assembles the squad to combat Grindelwald, because Dumbledore himself cannot face Grindelwald in a duel because they made this blood pact, and then at the end, like, it's they do end up facing off, and Newt's like, I thought you had that, he's got like the little bracelet, and it's like, well, he wanted to kill Credence, but I wanted to protect him. Like, that's such a lame explanation. Come on, that's such a cop out.
Yeah. That was just another thing thrown into the film with no purpose.
Well, they do mention in the second one, but yeah, again, there's so many other things going on. Like, I don't blame you if you lose track of like the 9 subplots.
So much, yeah. There's so much stuff going on. You can't keep track of all of it, and it doesn't matter. Like, this shit, the story's not even interesting.
No, it's not, and yeah, this Grindelwald's just kind of just another bad guy, and it's pretty, again, kind of like with, House of the Dragon, to a lesser degree, but, it's pretty far removed from the events of Harry Potter. Even though they show Professor McGonagall, like the Maggie Smith character, like in the 20s. Like, what is she, like 150 fucking years old? That doesn't make it. I get that, like, Dumbledore is really old, but, like, are they all just, like, immortal?
Yeah.
Funny, stuff like that's distracting.
Crimes of Grindelwald, when she made her mouth disappear.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that scene was terrible. It was like Skinamarink.
Yeah, right. For context, they show Zoe Kravitz's character as a student, and this bully's picking on her. I guess because she's like a mudblood, kind of like Hermione. She's like a mixed heritage, and so she makes the girl's mouth disappear. So Professor McGonagall comes up and she's like, brings her mouth back. Like, what's wrong? Like, blah, blah, blah. And then she closes her mouth again. I'm like, Professor McGonagall would never do that. She's not that kind of she's not going to, like, fucking torture students. Like they established that in Harry Potter because, Malfoy gets turned into a ferret, Barty Crouch said. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? Stop that. Yeah, so it's a sacrificing character for a dumb joke, which is that's bad writing.
We never use transfiguration as a punishment. Surely Dumbledore told you that.
And another thing, one more thing to mention about the second, the Crimes of Grindelwald. They show the Nicholas Flamel character, a really old guy. The makeup's terrible. He's mentioned in the Sorcerer's Stone, if you remember, he's the guy who has the stone. He's 200 years old, and they have another, he talks to Kowalski for a minute. Then he has his own scene by himself talking to some other person. I'm like, there's already so much fucking going on. Like, why are we cutting away to this? Like, oh my god, like, can you focus on one thing?
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Harry Potter. I don't care about, like, I have no connection to this stuff. So this movie was like a big, like, holy fuck, this is shit.
Yeah, I mean, especially like, I'm a Harry Potter fan. I'm invested in the story, but like, I have no connection to like Fantastic Beasts. I mean, I recognize like certain callbacks.
Yeah.
And
I would say I'm
characters.
a fan in that I like the movies.
You're a casual fan.
Yeah, more casual. I didn't grow up with them. I don't have like this diehard attachment to them.
You don't have the robes.
No, I don't have the wand and the
Hogwarts
robes.
Did you figure out which house you're in?
I think I did. I think I'm Gryffindor.
Oh, there you go. I got Ravenclaw, which I guess makes me a nerd. My friend said that makes me a nerd. But I can hang out with like, Cho Chang or like Luna Lovegood. I don't know. They're like the only characters of note that are in Ravenclaw.
Yeah, I definitely didn't get Slytherin.
Yeah, those are for the mean kids.
Yeah.
I bet J.K. Rowling would get Slytherin. She probably thinks she's a Gryffindor, but she's more like a Slytherin.
Yeah, she's a Slytherin.
Bully.
And sure.
I guess the third one is, I'd say it's marginally better than the second one. Just because it's not like there's like less crazy shit with like, World War II and the weird, flashbacks. But it's still pretty dull.
I could at least explain what it was about.
The third one, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About a creature of pure goodness getting possessed by Grindelwald.
Yeah, the chillin'. It's kind of like a fawn-looking thing.
Mm-hmm. And then it picks Dumbledore at the end. Like, Newt has... The reveal's like, oh, well, that you can't prove that this one is possessed because you don't have the other one. And then Newt pulls out. Or Bunty comes out.
Yeah.
And says, here's the other twin.
She's dressed like a cardinal. I don't know what that was about.
Why? I guess she's in disguise or something.
Yeah.
And then the creature comes out of the case and it picks Dumbledore. So was that like it picked Dumbledore to be the head of Hogwarts there? Or
well, isn't he? I think he's already headmaster at this point.
Then what did that thing pick him for? And like, what is that?
Because he's a nice guy.
Oh, but then Dumbledore said, that's right. He said, I have someone like you who is a twin who is equally as good as me who can do the job. So was that like his brother he was saying? Because like Dumbledore had a brother, right? Or was he saying, yeah. So was he saying him?
The brother can care for Credence because he's his dad, I guess.
But was that guy going to be the leader?
I don't think so. I don't know. I was just waiting for the movie to be over.
What a piece of garbage.
Yeah, and also too, like again with the pandering, when they'd show Hogwarts, and sometimes they'd play cues from the original movie score. I'm like, can I just watch those instead? Like, yeah, it's like taunting us.
Yeah.
Yeah, very weak. It doesn't seem like fans have really embraced these. I'm sure like some people, people enjoy them, I guess, but they've had like zero cultural impact.
None, absolutely. They've made money, except that last one, but yeah, they had no impact at all.
It's just so much going on, and especially too because I was just revisiting we were both like revisiting the Lord of the Rings movies. Those also like particularly Two Towers and Return of the King also have a lot of balls in the air, but they're much more comprehensible and entertaining. You get a grasp on who everybody is.
This reminded me more of those Hobbit movies, where it's like let's just go under every nook and cranny, find any bit of source material we can, and just like make it into material for this movie. Just shove it out there. But it feels so padded out and so uninspired.
Yeah. It seems like it's a 2 hour and 22-minute movie just because all the other movies are over 2 hours. Like there's so little story, or at least like substantial story.
Yeah.
And it's I'm trying to so it came out last year. I don't know if it was the worst movie last year because it was also Morbius, but
was it really last year? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it came out last May. I'm not positive. I think like last summer, but yeah, again, it made like no impression.
Yeah, that's crazy. Came and went. Like I barely remember when it came out.
Yeah, and also too, because it came out around the time it was like Jurassic World Dominion. Like they kept going on about the locusts, and in this one they keep going on about the chillin'. Oh, the chillin'! We got the creature here, and we're gonna have an election, and then the person that actually wins. Like, did she have any lines? I don't even remember. She's barely a character.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was the person who became the leader.
Yeah. I mean, it's not The Wire. I don't know, like, how much mileage you can get out of making an election exciting.
Yeah, for a kid's film. Yeah, I'm sad to say I don't have much to say about Fantastic Beasts other than I did not like this trilogy, really. I like the first one.
Yeah, the first one's fine. Like, if you're curious enough, like, I don't see why not. I mean, if you want to, if you haven't watched it already, you can try it. The other two, yeah, like, fuck them. What would you rate the third one?
I don't know, maybe a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, I think that's what I'd give it, like 3 or 4.
Yeah. It's
pretty,
piece of shit.
Yeah, it's pretty boring and. Yeah, I mean, who knows? I think they were planning to do 2 more. I don't know what the status is of this one. I know what they're doing on the Harry Potter show, but who knows what'll happen with this franchise?
They should scrap it.
Call it a day.
It's dead weight. Get rid of it.
Yeah,
I mean,
especially since, several of the people have gotten bad press, like Johnny Depp and Ezra Miller and J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, those 3. And just the fact that the movies have, like, really low ratings on, like, Rotten Tomatoes and whatever. They're critically panned movies.
Yeah, the latter 2 particularly, yeah.
Yeah, you can't really... I don't think you can recover from that in this day and age. Like, bad word of mouth.
Yeah, that's a killer.
Yeah, it is. And it's killing the brand too. Like it's ruining the Harry Potter brand. It's like devalued it. They were probably better off just making the first one and then just leaving it alone. Or like, if you want to make more, have inspired ideas. Yeah, don't just like throw a bunch of bullshit together.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. And even for, I think, J.K., she wrote the first 2 solo. And the third one, they brought back Steve Kloves, who wrote, 7 of the 8 Harry Potter movies. But yeah, I guess because okay. The second one obviously didn't do well critically. I mean, neither did this one. So I guess they were trying to like make it a little more cohesive. But yeah, they didn't do a much better job.
Mm. Yeah. I I couldn't care about this property at this point. I didn't buy that stupid video game, the Harry Potter Hogwarts game. I didn't buy that either. I'm not supporting J.K. Rowling. I don't like her.
I mean, the damage is done for me at this point.
Yeah,
exactly. Obviously I still enjoy the movies, and it's worth noting that a lot of the like the main cast, like Daniel Radcliffe, they seem like very kind people, and he's done a lot for like trans advocacy, and he's admitted, and he was very honest, I owe J.K. a lot, but she's wrong, it was a stupid thing. Again, like it's already been like 3 movies at this point. I'm not really invested in the characters like that I remember, but it doesn't leave like Credence and like Grindelwald, they're villains in all 3, but they don't leave much of an impact, especially since Harry Potter. I think they took fair advantage because it is it's a long stretch. I mean, like 8 2+ hour movies. That's a lot, but I think something like with Neville, the Neville character. He's kind of a doofus, most of the way through, and then in the finale when he becomes a hero, I think that's very satisfying. I think it, part of it, like it has the impact that it does, is like this long-term story like that. It's definitely gratifying. It's it's effective on a storytelling level, and it's also gratifying for the audience too, to cheer him on.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great if the Dan Fogler character got a moment like that, where he was a hero? I don't think he had a moment like that.
He wanted to kill Grindelwald at the ball or whatever.
Oh yeah.
That
was a big misunderstanding, though. Yeah. And then he did this thing.
Right, they gave him a one. Again, they shoehorn him into this one too. Like he has no, he doesn't really have much skin in the game besides his girlfriend being on the bads.
Yeah,
we're gonna get this regular guy to help us find Grindelwald.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, these wizards and stuff. They just don't do it for me. It just doesn't interest me. All this wizarding, witches and magic and whatever, just doesn't.
Well, because it's witchcraft, man.
Yeah,
we're all going to hell for watching this content.
Mm-hmm. There's still good movies. Yeah, I'm just saying, like the whole wizarding world, I guess, doesn't do much for me. That's why as a kid I didn't really.
Right, because I think that, like I said before, like it helps that you get invested in other elements like Harry and Ron and Hermione, how they interact with each other. But in these three movies, it's just the magic shit.
Yeah, it's just
the mystery of magic. They keep going back. Like, who the fuck cares? Like, I'm so sick of being here in these buildings.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of bullshit. I forgot to mention the weird scene in the second one with Dan Fogler, where there's like the weird guy in makeup.
Oh yeah, I mentioned that.
You did, yeah.
The old guy, yeah.
Yeah, you did mention that. I sent you that clip when I was watching it. You're like, what?
Right, yeah, and you mentioned that. Yeah, again, the girl that loses her mouth. It's like skin of a ring.
Yeah,
good movie, by the way.
Yeah, you have much more to say?
Nah, just excuse me. I thought it'd be interesting because I know you had seen the first one prior. I hadn't seen any of them, so I was just curious to give it a shout out. And I've been liking the comments from everybody. If you guys have an impression of these, I'd be curious to hear what other people think because I don't know a ton of other people who have actually seen these, or at least like I haven't talked about them much with other people.
Because they're really bad. I hated watching them, so thanks.
Because even the first one came out while we were our sophomore year while we were dorming together. I don't recall like a lot of people like mentioned in class or anything in the library.
Made it big nothing. Big nothing.
Oh sweet nothing. Copyright strike.
Ain't got nothing at all.
But it's kind of a bust, this trilogy thus far.
Ralph the Movie Maker podcast Reddit. I'll leave a thread there where you can ask me questions. It's from Zelda of Arc. Would love to know your top movies from the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Like 5 each? You want to do that? Or maybe 3 just to narrow it? Do you want to go first? Or we can take a second to think about it.
The letterbox list.
Sure, I'll do that too.
Yeah, let me get my phone. Yeah, so I'm going to do letterbox by decade, do 80, well, let's do 60s first.
Yeah, I'm getting it open
and then your rating highest. So 2001, Psycho, Dr. Strangelove, Good, Bad, and the Ugly, Persona. There's a lot.
Yeah, I've actually never seen Persona, but I'll watch it at some point. But yeah, I really love the other two. The other ones you mentioned.
Yeah, Night of the Living Dead. Mm-hmm. Lawrence of Arabia.
Yep.
Once Upon a Time in the West.
Mm-hmm. The Graduate.
Yep.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Mm-hmm. Rosemary's Baby.
Rosemary's Baby, yeah.
Great
8 and a Half.
Yeah, 8.5.
Great Escape, yeah. The Apartment. La Dolce Vita.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's funny.
I can
keep going. There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a few more. I think we mentioned a lot of them. Breathless. A lot of great movies from that era. Cool Hand Luke. Yeah,
70s.
Good stuff. There's gonna be a bunch.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. Well, we can try to for The Godfather.
Yeah, both parts 1 and 2.
Yeah, Taxi Driver. Mm-hmm. Star Wars.
Yep, Jaws.
Yeah, Clockwork Orange.
Alien. Yep. Apocalypse Now.
Eraserhead. Rocky.
Rocky. Dog Day Afternoon. Chinatown.
Yeah, Exorcist. Chainsaw Massacre.
Barry
Texas
Lyndon.
Chainsaw Massacre. I should say the full title.
Yeah.
Yeah, Barry Lyndon. Yeah, Willy Wonka. Annie Hall.
Yeah, Cuckoo's Nest, Manhattan, Close Encounters, Woman Under the Influence, The Conversation, Network, All the President's Men, Blazing Saddles,
Yeah.
Harold and Maude.
There's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah,
Don't Look
70s
Now.
that could go on for a while.
Yeah,
Carrie.
yeah, Dirty Harry. Yeah, Superman, Fantastic Planet. Yeah. Performance.
Being There. Yeah, all sorts of great movies.
Yeah. Yeah, the 70s is a packed one. There's a lot.
Yeah, McCabe and Mrs. Miller. Yeah.
Yeah. And then 80s.
Life of Brian. Yeah.
Yeah. 80s.
Blade Runner. Obviously, Empire, Return of the Jedi, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Shining. Back to the Future.
Ferris Bueller.
Die Hard.
The Thing. Raging
Velvet.
Bull.
Yeah, Full Metal Jacket.
Aliens.
E.T.
Come and See.
Yeah, Terminator. Possession. Raging Bull.
I've never seen Possession.
Possession's great, yeah. Do the Right Thing.
Yeah, Evil Dead. Evil Dead movies. Big. Spinal Tap.
Big I need to see. And
yeah, it's a great movie.
Spinal Tap's great.
Do we mention E.T.?
Yeah.
Stand By Me, Full Metal Jacket.
Airplane.
Airplane, Totoro, Once Upon a Time in America, Brazil, King of Comedy. Did we say Ghostbusters?
No, I don't think so.
Ghostbusters. Batman. Yeah, Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Princess Bride.
Ron.
Yeah, I still haven't seen Ran.
Yeah. Untouchables. Once Upon a Time in America. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah. Blues Brothers, Blowout.
Roger Rabbit.
Yeah. American Wolf One. After Hours, Last Temptation of Christ.
Yeah. Brazil.
RoboCop, Gremlins, Predator, Rain Man. Yeah, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade.
Road Warrior. Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, Lethal Weapon.
Yeah. Midnight Run. Pee-wee.
Midnight Run, yes. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites. Roger Rabbit, Untouchables, Elephant Man.
Keiji.
Which one?
It's Kurosawa.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Grave of the Fireflies, Paris, Texas. Heather's Dirty Dancing. Yeah.
Star Trek 2.
Yep. A lot of good stuff. Yeah, like John Hughes stuff, Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, 16 Candles. Yeah, Kiki's Delivery Service.
I was looking through some of my ratings. I could raise some of them.
Yeah, 80s, yeah, Moonstruck, Blood Simple, Thief. Yeah, Naked Gun, that's a funny one. Christmas Story, Tootsie. Yeah, there's some a bunch on the next page.
Yeah. Wow.
Fast Times, Stop Making Sense, Fitzcarraldo. Yeah, like Hannah and her sisters, With Noel and I, Broadcast News, Fatal Attraction, Field of Dreams. Yeah, this could go on and on. Crimes and Misdemeanors, Sophie's Choice, Witness, To Live and Die in L.A. Yeah, Good Morning Vietnam.
Yeah.
A lot of great movies. Risky Business, The Abyss, Return of the Living Dead. Yeah, we get some good ones. Yeah, The Killer.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned that one. Sorry if I repeat
Write all
myself.
those down. No, I think it was fine. Write all those down, commenter.
Yeah. We gave you plenty. Don't complain that we didn't give you enough because we gave you plenty.
Yeah. That's fine.
Especially for 80s. Yeah.
We did good today. We answered a question and talked about a bunch of movies.
Like pretty much all of them are better than the Fantastic Beasts. Like literally all the ones we just mentioned are better.
Well, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are our favorites.
Yeah. Little Mermaid. There's another one from the 80s I can mention. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. I think we're good. Bye, everybody.
See you at the movies. It's like Siskel and Ebert.
Yeah. See you at the movies.